Hello, this is Titus 2:4, which God tells older women that we are to teach our daughters and the young women how to love their husbands and their children. So basically, though, this one's about how to love your children and to raise them to love the Lord. And this episode is talking about I want to talk about expectations for our children because I am seeing okay, I'm not putting any blame on anyone. This is our culture. This is the way it's been for several generations and it's just the way it is and it's nobody's fault. But I would say parents have it rough today because they weren't raised around children being raised. Most children don't have siblings that are young enough that they actually got to watch their parents raise their siblings. Now, I come from a bigger family. We had six children, and I was the oldest girl, and so I got to see and even help with my mom with raising my four younger siblings, and I was 12, 13 when the last one was born. And so I very, very intimately remember, you know, changing diapers, feeding, um, watching, babys. I was a babysitter for everybody because so many of our neighbors saw that I was really good with children because I had had so much experience with children. They really trusted me in babysitting. So I did a lot of babysitting. My mom was a realtor. And what she would do is she would offer my babysitting services for all her clients while they went out and looked at houses. So, yeah, so I've had lots and lots of experience with children. And so I feel like this is really bad. First, we're not having very many children now. Everybody's having what, I think 1.7 or 2.1 or something is the national average. And so normally the first child and the last child is what it's going to be in most houses. There's not enough time in between so that the older child can see the younger sibling being raised. And so now we've got an entire generation who have never been around raising children. Um, they have no idea what is normal behavior for a baby or a toddler or for a small child for that. They just and it's not their fault. It's just the way it is. And because of that, there is more stress and there are more fears because these parents just simply do not know what to expect. And no matter how many books you read, no matter how many social posts you read, or videos, YouTube videos, it's just simply not going to prepare you in the way it would is if you saw it with your own eyes and you experienced it in your own home day to day. And so you just have to actually be there watching the child develop to have a good idea what it looks like, what it sounds like. And some of these parents do not have reasonable expectations for their children. And now I'm going to be a little bit exaggerative, but not much. Some parents think, my child is going to read French by first grade. My child is going to behave so perfectly. I'm going to feed my baby adult food because some male writer who's never had a child said to in a parenting magazine. Or I'm just going to let my child feed himself after the first 5 months. Um, I'm going to have a date night at home every week with my husband once the children go to bed. Uh, I'm going to take my kid to the Terminator movie when they're 5 years old. Uh, th- there, there are people that and everybody's different. Some people are going to be more relaxed parenting, letting their kids do whatever they want, and there's going to be more hands-on helicopter parents. But in any situation, unrealistic expectations are not good for children and they're not good for parents. So, what I would like to tell you is don't worry too much. Time is on your side. You're going to have at least 18 years before this kid can leave your house. So, you are going to have lots of time to figure it out. So, remember that. Don't panic. Uh, you're going to be tired and you're going to need help, but having babies will help you grow up and give you meaningful and wonderful adventures more than you can imagine. So, just don't think that this is going to be too hard. It's not. People have been doing it since the beginning. um, but allow your children time to grow up. Don't put these too difficult of expectations on your children. Don't take away their childhood because if you suppress their childhood now, you may think, "Oh, they're little adults. Oh, I did such a good job." But when they get older, I've seen this happen many times that the adults that didn't get a childhood wait until they're away from their parents at other children's homes or once they're an adult and then they want to be children and then they start acting um, childlike in some way. So they're going to act out in a childish way if you don't allow them to have a childhood. So just calm down, let them be children, and you don't even know what that means. That means, kids are just going to drop things, get into things they shouldn't. They're curious. They're not being bad. They're not being rebellious. They have to be reminded every day, maybe 3 or 4 times a day, of things that might are rules. You know, I would try rather than try to teach my child not to touch things for a while. I would just childproof your house so that you don't have that. You can focus on other things and you can be relaxed besides just being on them and being on them. Children don't remember things. You may think they do, but they get busy with other things. They're not able to hold a whole different bunch of things in their brain. And just know they're not doing anything on purpose. Under the age of 2, children are not capable of making rational decisions. They don't understand. You just, like if they, if you're feeding them and you've got some things chopped up and they're on their high chair and they throw it down, they're not doing anything bad. That is actually a stage of life that children do. They have stages that they throw. They have stages they put things in their mouth. This is normal. This is part of the process of what they do to discover. There's an oral time where they're constantly putting things in their mouth. It's a discovery. They're not doing anything wrong. Just keep things away so they don't end up choking. You don't want them to put bugs in their mouth, and chew them and up and eat them. You don't want them to put rocks in them, things that can choke them. You just get those out of the way. And check their mouth, everyone. Little children, this is what they'll do. It's so cute, but it's not good, but it's cute. What they'll do is the minute you say, "Do you have something in their mouth?" Do you have something in your mouth? They'll do this. And you got to take your once and you got to do this right because you don't want to shove it down their throat. But you take I used to say if they wouldn't open up their mouth, and this is really even before they have a lot of teeth, you can swish your finger across and just say, and once in a while, and when they get a little bit older, you might be able to say, "Open your mouth, open your mouth." Do you have something in your mouth? But they don't want you to take it. They want to keep it in their mouth. But anyway, so all these things you just have to understand they're not being bad. Most children want to obey their parents. Most children want to please their parents. And so uh, uh, they're they're going to mimic you. That's what they're mainly going to do. And so just keep that in mind that ask questions of real parents. If you need, that's what you need to do. If you, because nobody knows what they're doing, even experts. Sometimes you all children are different, and what works with one isn't going to work with the other. So you just have to keep trying different things. Just try and start. If you're going to discipline them and tell them no for something dangerous, start with the things that are the most gentle and work your way out, and then you can kind of find this is the little sweet spot. Well, they will obey. If some children, I've seen, oh, the cutest little girl, her daddy just said to her, go into the corner. Do you want to go in the corner? And she knew she had done something bad. And she said, yes. And she just went and stood in the corner. That was some children are just so sweet like that, and they want to obey. Other children, you have to get, you have to give them a more stern times out. But start mild and see what works with that child. What is the sweet spot? And some children they're very, very difficult. There are some children that are just, little boys can be so mischievous, and they've got so much energy, and they don't even mean to disobey, but they just have so much energy and their curiosity that they're more of a handful. And you got to be a little bit more, you got to be understanding, and you've got to be a little bit more creative in how you deal with them so they don't get hurt or hurt other people. So question real parents. And mostly I would avoid asking new parents about parenting questions, because what happens is they think, because they've been doing it for 2 months, or they've been doing it for even 2 years, somehow they've got it. They know what they're just talking about. But the problem is, you can ask them things like, what diapers do you prefer? What stroller did you get? Did you like? I mean, that's fine. But bigger questions, they just don't know how to answer, because they haven't had that kind of experience. You don't know what a lot of new parents think. Okay, this is how my child is acting now. That is going to show them what they're going to be when they're in their 18 to 20s. No, children are going to. They can vastly change, and just because you have them under control doesn't mean they're self-controlled. So anyway, if you ask a lot of new parents, they're going to just regurgitate something that experts say, and from what they've read, but not from their personal experience. Okay, so questions. Now, about these questions that you want to ask, just understand you may learn more of what not to do. In other words, there's going to be bad parents, and they will at least look back and go, you know what? I should not have done that. I should have done this. And that you can learn from people making mistakes too. So just keep that in mind. And because, you can weed out what not to do. Maybe you'll get to that what thing that you are supposed to do. And just know that most things, unless it's dangerous or abusive, if you fail, you can make it up. The only thing you need to never make a mistake, make sure you don't ever make a mistake in allowing your child to do something dangerous. Now, that is where you draw the line and say, no, no, you don't want them to hurt themselves. And it's different. Now, there's a difference between danger and skinning their knee or breaking their leg. Some kids want to walk up walls, that have the little steps, a little retaining walls. And that's perfectly fine as long as mom or dad is right there with them. But when they're really small, you can't say, oh, well, you gotta help. You gotta make sure they learn. You don't want to, you know, allow them to fall and, climbing a tree when they're too young, or climbing a tree with the wrong shoes on, like, sandals or something. You got to stand firm about things that you're going to, that are going to be dangerous for the child. And you must never abuse your child under any circumstance. And what I mean by abusing, there's two types of abuse. There's physical and there's verbal, and both of them are emotional. So emotional works into both of this, emotional abuse. But you don't ever want to physically abuse your children, and you don't want to yell at your children unless there's danger. Now, I mean, if you are seeing a child that's about to run into the street, you can scream your head off at that kid. And now get back here right now. But don't, excuse me, don't insult your child. Don't scream at your child and insult them. You idiot. You don't, that is emotionally abusive. That's not going to help in anything. That's you who's got the problem, and you need to stop it. You need to have some self-discipline before you yell at your child. And so remember that everything you do for your child is help them to develop self-discipline, confidence. Um, you know, your expectations need to be realistic, and there's really no way of having realistic expectations unless you talk to somebody. Don't assume you're going to be able to figure it out. Don't assume you can go by your gut feeling. Uh, Talk to parents that you've admired and who have had good kids, and just see what they say. And anyway, that's all for me for now. And God bless you and have a great day.